Since medicine is such a long journey, it can be easy to lose track of the things that help us along the way. Today, I want to take a moment to reflect on the top things that I'm truly grateful for on my journey throughout medicine. From the challenges that shaped me to the milestones that kept me motivated, gratitude has always played a big role in my path. So in the spirit of the holiday season, here are the things that I'm most grateful for during my medical journey. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, my name is Laksh, I'm a cardiology fellow, and today I wanted to just do a nice deep dive of all the things that I'm grateful for in my long medical journey, which includes 3 years of college, 4 years of medical school, 3 years of residency, 1 year working as a hospitalist, and now about 2 years into a cardiology fellowship. It's been a long journey and I have a lot to be thankful for during that process. So here are the top things that I'm grateful for, and hopefully it helps you also consider the things that you are grateful for in your own journey. So number one, by far, hands down, has to be my wife. I've come across the saying over and over again recently on social media that says that the most important decision somebody makes in their life is not the job they pick or where they pick to stay or live or what they do, but it's the spouse that they ultimately choose to spend the rest of their life with. And although I didn't know that that was the most important decision when I was making it, the person that I picked is hands down the perfect individual for me to go through this medical journey the way I have. I introduced my wife Priya a few years ago through kind of a Q&A podcast kind of episode that we did here on the channel. I'll link it down below in case you guys are interested, where we talk about maintaining a strong relationship in kind of a medical journey aspect. And that was me during residency. So now we have even more years of experience. We have a child that we raised. Our daughter's about 1.5 years old. And so a ton of changes have been made since that episode. But despite all of that change, one thing that hasn't changed in our relationship is how much compromise she's willing to make because I am going through this process. There's so much delayed gratification for the individual who's going through the medical journey. I can't really even imagine the amount of delayed gratification it is being the partner of somebody watching their partner go through the medical journey, through the endless amounts of debt that I'm in, through the amount of hours that I have to study or be away for work or be on call, or once a week I'm not at home because I'm in the house doing an in-house ICU call for the past 2 years, and I will for the next 1.5 years. And so all of those, while she's raising our daughter, being at home, foregoing her plans so we can just get this process done with, even though we're close to the finish line, like I don't even know how I could do this if I didn't have the right partner. So in the medical journey, you truly have to be grateful for the individuals who not only get you there, but keep you there at a high, that keep you motivated, that keep you supported. And my wife is easily the best person that I have for my journey. So extremely thankful for her. And while I can't top number one, the next few things are still things I'm extremely grateful for, starting with number two, which are the opportunities that I had on my medical journey. I think myself to be somebody who's extremely lucky. I think that the medical school I went to, the college that I went to, the residency that I got to go into, the fellowship that allowed me to just pursue a lot of options, I consider myself to be somebody who's extremely lucky. And I don't say that to be generic, but I feel like I've gotten opportunities that I didn't necessarily deserve at the moment, but they were such a big foundational piece for me to obtain the next thing that I was able to achieve. So for example, I think I got into a medical school that was probably beyond what my application was good enough for. I knew I was going to get into medical school, but maybe not the one that I went to, which really laid the foundation for then me to getting into an even more competitive residency, which just allowed me to get any job as a hospitalist that I wanted, and allowed me to kind of put the foundations for me to get into the cardiology fellowship that I wanted as well. And that is just one example of getting into certain institutions, which just lays the groundwork for the next thing down the line. But in a similar fashion, I've had the same sensation of luck, whether it be finding a mentor who allowed me to join into a research project that ended up being a publication that helped boost my CV, that made me more competitive. It's kind of the cycling effect where I just felt like I was in the right place at the right time, many instances, and that allowed me to create this kind of story and application that probably looks more competitive than the individual who's like behind it. And over time, I've gotten past that imposter syndrome and felt like I am truly deserving of all the experiences, opportunities I've had. But probably during the moments of the opportunities were given to me, more or not, I felt like I'm sure that there's somebody more capable, and I'm trying to do my best to do justice of those opportunities that I've had, which really gets me to this thought process of this bus analogy. I heard this somewhere on Instagram, and this concept of luck and opportunity are kind of like waiting at a bus stop for the bus to come. The bus is going to come. Doesn't necessarily come frequently, but the question is when the bus comes, are you going to be ready? Have you done all of the hard work and preparation to get on the bus? Because it doesn't just let anyone on. And so making sure that while you're waiting for the next opportunity, that you're doing all the preparation work to just be ready. And I think I've done that pretty well, but I am still extremely grateful for the opportunities that I've come across. So really reflect back on your own journey of asking, what are moments that I was able to get that maybe I didn't think that I was supposed to get, and really have laid the groundwork for the next kind of accomplishments that I was able to have. Now, a quick aside, one thing that that we won't talk about in this episode that I am also extremely grateful for are all the failures that I had. And if you want to make sure that you avoid the failures that I've had, whether it be in studying, productivity, motivation, prep for board exams or rotations, I've included them all in kind of a free resources. Our most popular one is the Med School Handbook, which includes over 100 tips on how to study better, how to be more productive, all coming from experiences that I've had that worked as well as haven't, and I've kind of reverted those to tips that I would do differently. So if you want access to all of those tips and strategies, plus all of our free resources for absolutely free, I'll go ahead and link them down below in the description in case you're interested. So gratitude item number 3 is prior hard work. I think that's similar to how opportunities, whether it was deserving or kind of out of good luck, lay the foundations for you to be able to achieve the next thing. One thing that I'm extremely grateful for, and this kind of reminds me of the Snoop Dogg saying where he kind of has an award ceremony at the very end. He's like, I want to thank me. This is one of those moments, and it's not to be egotistical, but there is an individual who went through 3 years of college, who went through 4 years of med school, residency, and so forth, and that person could have taken the foot off the gas at many opportunities. I've encouraged that person too when I was that individual, and knowing that time in and time out that when I was in med school, when I was in fellowship, when I was a hospitalist, that I always kind of tried to give a little bit extra just to make sure that I didn't set myself up to just be just good enough for the next opportunity I was seeking. There is a visible growth of what I consider to be hard work now that used to be extremely hard back when I was a college student and med student. One of my biggest concepts that I share on the channel is that your definition of hard work is going to change on this journey. So you might as well strive of giving just a little bit more, because right now what you consider to be extremely hard work, if you keep at it, eventually is going to be your average level of what your work input is going to be. And if you get to that, everything becomes so much easier. But still, it's not easy to stick with it. And so all of the prior hard work that I put in, whether it's just the learning and studying that I've done for knowledge that now helps my patients, to skills that I've learned on how to study better, how to be more productive, how to be more composed, how to manage my time better, whatever that may be, all of that took time and effort back then. And that's led me to be the individual that I am today. I still have a lot of work to do, and hopefully I can continue to put those little steps in for the person 10 years down the line. But I am extremely grateful for all of the hard work that has been put in, as you should as well. And I highly encourage you to just reflect back on your journey and just take a second to do the same. And number 4 is kind of a unique one, and it is the idea of having tough conversations. In medicine, particularly in the field of cardiology or in medicine, you are going to have tough conversations with patients, family members, for 2 reasons really. One, somebody's disgruntled or agitated, they are not happy with their experience with you or the medical team or whatever it may be, or just the situation. And then 2 is more common, that's this idea of having tough conversations about end of life or when medicine is not going to work, somebody's condition looks terminal. And one thing I'm extremely grateful for, because I feel like this is one of my biggest strengths now as a physician, is to have those tough conversations through all of the practice that I had during med school and residency and being a hospitalist and being a fellow, where I took those conversations seriously versus kind of this is something I just have to do. And doing so, now I realize that there are physicians, there are nurses, there are colleagues who will wait for me to come to work so I can have those conversations with the toughest patient in the ICU, for example, just because I've had the reps put in, where I can calmly just assess the situation, allow somebody to vent, to cope, and then be able to give them my recommendations, my 2 cents, and build this quick rapport with somebody. I just had one of these instances on one of my last ICU call nights where a patient's mom was just being very hysterical at like 10 p.m. The nurse or the charge nurse called me and asked me if I was on call, and I said yes, and she said, thank God, which is always a nice thing to hear from your nurses, but also this was in the setting of just having a tough conversation. There was no medicine needing to be played. I just needed to calm down an agitated family member. And this was somebody I kind of knew, but I didn't know the patient nor the family member well. But despite only having a limited amount of info going into that situation, I've had so many reps of doing this before that I was able to just calm and diffuse the situation. The patient's family member was able to understand what we were doing. I was able to be apologetic for things that we were in control of, and we were able to end that night with being on the same page. And I saw her the next morning and we were still on the same page. And so to have some of the biggest critics in the hospital, which are nurses, because I see so many physicians, but good and bad and average, go to you frequently of having these tough conversations and looking forward to you being that person to do so, is a big privilege, first of all, but I also know it's because of all the reps that I put into the process of getting at this phase. And I know I have more work to do, but having tough conversations is one of the most underrated skills as a physician, of just having good communication communication, being able to listen and diffuse the situation. Not all doctors do this well. I've seen this go poorly, so I'm glad I've had the reps put in to do this a little bit better than most. Those guys are the things that I'm most grateful for. I highly encourage you to drop a comment down below. Just let me know of the things that you're grateful for on your journey, or that you want to know about my journey, more behind the scenes that I can make in future episodes. And as I said before, one of the things I am grateful for are the failures and the teaching lessons that I've had. So if you want to learn from those and avoid those ideally in your journey, click down below to understand how to get all the tips and strategies of our free resources like our med school handbook. Absolutely free. I'll link those down below. And if you want to know the resource that I am most grateful for, click right here to see the study strategy that I am completely transitioning to, that has saved me a lot of time, and hopefully it will for you as well. As always, thank you so much for being a part of my journey. Hopefully I was a little help to you guys on yours. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.